I am a software developer. I have about um 6 to 7 years of experience right now, and I haven't stopped working ever since I started. That's some 7 years ago. I have never felt more like I'm wasting time and missing out on a lot as I do right now. Yeah, in the last 2 years or so, the world has been changing rapidly. The world of tech in particular has been changing very, very rapidly. Yeah, if you just look at it, things like large language models, generative AI, you know, we just think about generative AI, the kind of models, large language models that we have now are almost uncountable, because just think about it. We have Llama from Meta, we have DeepSeek, we have Anthropic's Claude, we have ChatGPT, we have Gemini, we have Perplexity, and I'm sure there are many more, and new ones continue to emerge. And these things are basically like they're basically brains, right? There are some limited version of our brains, because they actually do some of the stuff that we have been doing for a long time. For example, as a software developer, the code that I write, um about 30 to 40% of it is written by AI, and I might be underestimating this. 30 to 40% is written by AI. So I spend a significant amount of time just reviewing code that AI has written. And uh like 8 times out of 10, I am very impressed. I'll just I'll just talk to the large language model as like in plain language, like in plain English, and sometimes it'll handle some edge cases that I would not have seen on my own, or I would not have seen unless I was doing some, manual testing. Yeah, so not only are these large language models doing some coding for us, but they're actually really scary good at it. Like, they're really good. And that's just the coding aspects. There are other aspects to being a software engineer. I can say I spend about maybe 60% of my time writing code, because I'm only a senior software engineer. Someone like an architect or tech lead or something like that spends a significant amount of their time managing people and um, and collaborating with other stakeholders and other leaders in the company. But me, I'm only a senior software engineer, and let's say I spend 60% of my bandwidth writing code. It means the other 40% I spend it between, attending meetings and then writing technical docs, responding to questions on Slack, and so on. And of that 40% of my bandwidth, I still use AI. When I'm writing documents, I still use AI. So of that 40%, I would say I use maybe, if I'm replying on Slack, I barely use AI. If I'm writing documents, I usually use AI depending on the how important the document is. So I would say another 5% of the work is being done by AI, and I just have to supervise. So if you take this together, it certainly blows some trumpets, some alarms. Yeah, and the worst of this is when I look at the AI I am using, it's not like the full um I'm only using a fraction of what is out there. Maybe it's the best, or maybe because usually our organization, they have um folks who actually evaluate these technologies as they come out, and Yeah, I just benefit from their work and I'm able to use and try these out and know what the world of AI is evolving into. But I always get this lingering feeling that there is more out there that is being released, that is being adopted, that is being used that I'm not aware of. And I always fear that one day I will wake up and I'll be obsolete. I'll be ancient technology, as they usually call it. Because right now, um, if if I am like the AI I've been using, right, I would say based on the calculation, on average, AI writes about 35% of my code. It does about 35% of my work. We can argue that the effort that I use to review the work done by AI will reduce that percentage down to maybe 20. A very conservative estimate is 20%. So let's say AI does 20% of my work, like does it completely without that overhead of me supervising it, that you can say it makes me 20% more productive. So it means the company just gained um a an employee that does one fifth of the work. So the company just gained a new employee and they're probably paying like what how much does it cost for each of those uh, large language models for the AI that we use? Probably at the most maybe $50. I don't know. So imagine getting an extra employee for just $50. Now, fast forward to, I don't know, the rate at which these things are evolving. Fast forward to a year from now, when um, I will do far less supervision, where the AI would have become so powerful that only about like 10% of my code would have to be written manually. And then I'll spend like another 20% of effort reviewing it. So that leaves 70% of my work being done entirely by AI. At that point, an organization that has, for example, 1,000 employees, do you think they will still have those 1,000 employees? I don't think so. They'll probably pick their top performing engineers and then let the rest go. And then they'll be paying their AI, the AI model, um, for the few that are left. And that will be like basically gaining an extra employee. For each employee they'll be paying maybe $200 a month. That's an infinitesimal amount compared to the money that they pay those actual engineers, who should be in the hundreds of thousands. So the future, at least for software engineering, looks bleak from this point of view. It looks scary from this point of view. Of course, there are other angles to look at this. There are other implications that might not necessarily mean job loss and so on. It might actually make, create more opportunities than take them away. Mm, yeah, because at least we moved from the industrial age to the information age. And now we are moving to, I don't know what they call it, maybe AI age. Yeah, but all those transitions in history only resulted in more opportunities in the long run. So I am being hopeful that that's going to be the case here. However, I don't want to be caught in that transition period where there is a lot of confusion, where um, you know, where the consequences are most felt, right? When the opportunities that the AI brings are like are a little bit delayed, right? And then people have to go on without jobs and the economy has to take a hit a bit. Yeah, so that's the part that I'm worried about. But long term, I think that there will be more opportunities created overall. And the world is going to move towards like our demands, right? The things that we need, the bar will be raised high for quality. And this high bar, because the AI is very accessible. So across the board, everyone will have access to it. And so there will not the scales will not be skewed or anything like that. Some industries will be, phased out because they are no longer necessary. And then other new ones will emerge. And when human beings are more productive, uh, it it might just mean yeah, that fewer people will need to work. Oh, I'm going in circles. I'm trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's a bit difficult. And by the way, these videos are not scripted, so perhaps it's something that I need to like really think hard about. Um, yeah, but the fact remains that the near future, is uh an unknown at best, and yeah, it's making me anxious that I might be wasting time in a 9 to 5 job, because just the bandwidth that I need to keep tabs on all that is going on in the tech world, to really reflect on which industries might be affected and what I might really need to do to position myself such that I will not take the hit, or I will not suffer the short-term consequences of our transition to uh, a heavily AI operated oops, a heavily AI operated economy. So yeah, because 8 hours a day, that's the time that that's the time that I lose. I wouldn't say lose because I'm getting paid for. But the fact remains that that is time that I am not investing in learning about new technologies, in learning about what direction AI is taking, in, developing new skills that I will need for to maintain my relevance in the near future. That's one reason that I started this YouTube channel. One of the reasons is that um I need to be a better communicator. I usually admire people who can just turn on their camera and start talking, and you will be so hooked that you won't miss a word, right? They can talk about anything. They don't have to script what they're talking about. They can just be sharing their opinions, and they can just go out for a walk and take a camera and just be talking, and they are so articulate, and you can relate to the things they say, or at least if not relate to, you find it entertaining or well put. Yeah, like when you are reading a book, sometimes some lines jump at you and you're like, oh my god, I feel like that was a patch of my brain that I thought existed only in my brain. That's what I'm reading in someone's work, right? Because tapped into um they have tapped into some, experience. They have presented it in a way that, is very relatable. Yeah, sometimes some people can be confused, and then they talk, and then they will present that their confusion in a way that is will make you understand that they are confused. If I am confused, sometimes I'll just mm, like say a lot of filler words. I'll I'll not know what to say. I can just freeze. I can just, like, you know, just saying nonsense, or I will say some things that make sense and then leave out some key aspects of it. Yeah, but someone can be confused and then they try to talk themselves to navigate that confusion to gain some clarity. And in that talking process, you identify specifically the blind spots that they have that made them confused. For me, it's not easy to just identify those. And then, first of all, to even present it the way it's in my brain. Another one example, a good example actually is sometimes I'll feel when I'm thinking about a subject in my mind, it is very clear. I have it very clear, very well put, very organized. And then when the time comes to deliver it, to speak it, to say it out loud, it comes out confused. Like I'm not able to remove what I have in my brain and say it out like verbally. I'll try and then I'll leave out some key aspects or forget some key aspects that will just make the whole monologue or whatever it is to fall flat. Yeah. Anyway, this wasn't I tried to avoid talking about speaking, talking about uh these practice sessions I have, because I don't think they are super helpful. So not that my other ramblings are helpful, but yeah, it's not meant to be helpful. It's just sharing. It's not meant to be helpful in the way that you might, like, people typically go to YouTube to do. For example, sometimes YouTube is like a search engine. You go there because you want to learn about some ideas. Yeah, but this one is just sharing. You can think of it like a diary. Yeah, anyway, having said that, um AI is moving really fast, and the world is very capitalistic, and our companies are pouring billions upon billions into developing new and better tools that can make humans more productive while at the same time making them redundant at work, and have this persistent fear that I might wake up tomorrow and be obsolete. So I wish I had more time to explore, to possibly reposition myself in terms of, my pursuits, um, so that I can be more relevant to whatever future we've got coming with AI. All right, that brings me to the end of this video. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.